Well, Africa is one of the biggest trade partners of the United Kingdom, with political, economic, and social relations dating back many centuries. So what should Africa expect from the new Labour Party now in power and from the new Prime Minister in Downing Street? Joining me from London to chat to this is Agnes Gitau, the Executive Director in charge of UK and Europe at the East African Association. She's also the Managing Partner at GBS Africa. Good to see you again, madam. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Boston. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you are right there in London at the thick of the just concluded elections. Very tough one. From a professional African point of view, what do you make of it?
Look, what I can say, Boston, is that democracy works where there is discipline and where there is credible institutions. And that's what we have seen in this election. Out of the 650 seats in Parliament, the Labour Party, the Labour political party, has about 400 and just over 400 seats in Parliament, thrashing the Conservative, who now hold only 121 seats in the House of Commons. So certainly a new wave, a new government after 14 years under the Conservative government. Your viewers will remember the previous government, which was led by Boris Johnson, and then you had Liz Truss, and then you had Rishi Sunak, who is part Kenyan, part British. So it's a new dawn for the UK and for the Britons.
Oh, but getting down to the meat of this conversation, what do you think will shape the new party foreign policy, and what should be in it for sub-Saharan Africa? Will anything change from number 10 Downing Street? Will it? Economically speaking.
Certainly, Boston, a lot will change. It will not be immediate, but in the long term, yes. So the new government under Sir Keir Starmer, their focus is on development, diplomacy, and defense. And those are their key priorities. However, they insist that development will be important for them. Because if you look at the Conservative government, they reneged on development agreement and focus on just UK or inward looking, right? So the new government looks to build relationships that are beneficial and that promote mutual prosperity between the UK and its partners. And for Africa, as you said, Africa is one of the longest trading partner for the UK. The focus will be purely around trade development, supporting the vision of the Africa Free Trade Agreement with technical skill, and most importantly, supporting and encouraging UK businesses to invest in the continent. And when they do, the support of this government, so they can make good returns, but at the same time be sustainable partners. So there is going to be a change. The relationship will be based on mutual respect, not short-termness that we saw under the previous administration.
So from a political point of view, whether it's the Labour Party or Conservatives Party, is there any difference really in terms of a policy thrust objective or the need that UK has for Africa as one of its biggest economic outposts on the planet Earth?
Yes, there is going to be a shift. Although some of the policies, Boston, around development will almost remain the same, but we'll see a bit of change in how the UK relates to the continent. You know, respectful relationship based on understanding that every country has its own ambitious visions to achieve development and economic development, and supporting this. The difference, Boston, between the Labour and the Conservative, for me, is the relationship, right? The Conservative government has focused very much on inward and nationalism politics, or populist politics. The Labour government encourages dialogue. We're going to see a renewal relationship between the UK and the European Union. We're going to see a relationship between the UK and the Global South, with Africa leading in their conversation. They understand that in the current situation we are in, the geopolitical environment, Africa is a strategic partner. And the past relationship that was based purely on aid, that is changing. My understanding that the engagement will purely be based around economic development and understanding that the continent has incredible resources, particularly in critical minerals. Another aspect, I see the Labour government engaging with the continent is around climate change and climate leadership, right? And supporting Africa access the support they require to address challenges that are posed by climate change. So a complete change. However, we are not going to see this happen tomorrow. Remember, they have inherited, as they say, a dilapidated economy, right? There is nothing in the copper. So they need possible to work in country to regain the confidence of the population, restore public service, and also restore the respect and confidence in the UK politics.
Interesting. So you've got UK having some very strong relations with some African economies, of course. You talk about some of the biggest names. When you talk about Kenya, for example, having a very, very cozy relationship with the United Kingdom. You got Ghana as well as Nigeria. What's your focus on these key countries, and what do you think, for example, Kenya, where you come from, in terms of President Ruto's made several bilateral economic relations and talks with the United Kingdom, for example. So what do you think Kenya will be looking to specifically from the change of guards in the UK?
Austin, to respond to your question around specific relationship with individual nations, so the UK already has around 9 economic partnership agreements with about 18 African countries, right? This goes against the vision of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, where the Secretariat calls for regional approach to bilateral agreement, particularly around trade, right? And so the economic partnership agreement, my view, will remain. However, the focus or the approach with the new government, I think, will be more focused around the regional blocks, right? In regards to Kenya and the UK, relationship dates back over 6 decades. First, they were colonial masters. Now they are a development partner. And I do believe that the administration in Kenya will be looking to strengthen the relationship with the new administration. And I believe that will be the same for Ghana, Nigeria, as well as South Africa. But so for these specific countries, I believe to the engagement will be renewing the relationship with the new administration after 14 years under the Conservative, as well as building new economic partnership around technology advancement, opportunities in climate change, green energy, and opportunities both for these countries and the UK.
Okay, finally, how should African leaders and policymakers on this side position for the new political and economic leadership in the UK? Just to summarize, put it all together.
You know, Boston, firstly would be for us to put our house in order in the continent, right? And be collective in how we engage with the new UK government. So I see, and I think what will be more effective is if the continent engage under one block, either under the African Union or under the Africa Free Trade Agreement. So that's what I see opportunities between, or how the continent should try to engage with the Labour Party under Sir Keir Starmer.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. I'm sure we've got a whole lot more to discuss as your association, the East African Association, begin to engage with the various arms of the new government over there in the UK and in Europe, and then you bring us up to speed as well. Thank you so much, Agnes Gitau, the East African Association Executive Director in charge of UK and Europe, and the Managing Partner at GBS Africa in London Advisory Services. Thank you so much. Have a great Monday evening.